Most people think that Rehoboth is Delaware's premier beach town, but what's interesting is that Lewes just had over $100 million in new infrastructure improvements announced for 2025, and property values in Lewes have jumped 2% more than Rehoboth in the last year. Now, after helping hundreds of clients relocate here and my family being in the Lewes community for over 30 years, I came up with all the good and all the bad things about this place, and that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. What's going on, you guys? I'm Matt Lunden, a local Coastal Delaware real estate agent helping people just like you move in and around the area. In this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly what makes Lewes special, including the spots that locals like myself absolutely love. And after visiting and living here for over 30 years, I have come across many challenges and so many great things too about this place. So whether you are thinking about visiting or moving to Lewes, this is an honest review about what you can expect and why this town is one of Coastal Delaware's absolute best spots. So let's dive in. Let me start by telling you what brought us to Lewes in the first place. Well, this time around, I moved here in 2019 when I got out of the golf business in North Carolina, and honestly, I can't see myself moving anywhere else anytime soon. And when we wanted to move back to Delaware, we knew that Lewes was the spot. My grandparents bought my family's first home in Lewes well over 30 years ago, and it was this sleepy little town that most people just passed through on their way to Rehoboth Beach. You know, the main streets were quiet, parking was never an issue, and you knew literally everyone at the local spots like the Dairy Queen right there on the beach. It seemed like more of a family gathering than anything else. Flash forward to today, and Lewes has transformed in one of the most desirable coastal towns on the East Coast. But unlike our busier neighbor in Rehoboth, Lewes has managed to maintain a lot of its historic charm while evolving into a modern community. And I'll tell you all these changes, including the massive developments happening this year. But first, let me show you exactly why the location makes this town so special and what we love about Lewes. The main thing you need to know about Lewes's location is that it sits in truly a unique spot where the Delaware Bay meets the Atlantic Ocean, which gives us something really special, which is access to both the bay beaches and the ocean beaches, all within about a 10-minute drive of your home if you're living in Lewes. Starting with the bayside, you've got the public parking lots and beach access with lifeguards at both Savannah Beach and Johnny Walker Beach, which are perfect if you've got young kids, or you could go a couple streets up to one of the dune crossings onto Lewes Beach. And if you're into paddleboarding and kayaking, these spots are absolutely perfect. The water is calmer here, and at the public parking lots, you've got some amenities like a bathhouse and concession stand, which certainly can make your day at the beach a little more comfortable. Now, we've also got the Roosevelt Inlet at the north end of Lewes Beach, which is a hidden gem. It's where many people, just like myself, go fishing or just choosing to get set up on a chair and watch the boats pass by as they head in and out of the inlet. It truly is one of my favorite spots in Lewes. Then there's the Cape Henlopen State Park, which is honestly one of Southern Delaware's best features. You're getting ocean beaches with pristine dunes, miles of hiking and biking trails, and some incredible fishing spots. They've got a brand new bike trail system that connects directly into town, and they're adding more amenities in Cape Henlopen State Park in 2025, including a new bathhouse and a new 6-mile Wolf Neck Loop trail. And if you're a history buff, there is plenty of World War II history to take in the Cape Henlopen State Park with museums and watchtowers and old bunkers. Really, there is something for everybody. Now, the beach access here is completely different from what you expect in Rehoboth. In Lewes, you can actually get from most neighborhoods to the beach in about 10 minutes, even during the peak season. You know, the town has done a great job with parking. You've got multiple parking lots, again, at Savannah Beach and Johnny Walker Beach, plus a decent amount of street parking as you head north along the beach line. Now, beyond the beaches, Lewes's position between major cities really makes it special. We're only about 2.5 hours from both Philadelphia and DC, and about 3.5 hours from New York City. And we have the Cape May Lewes ferry running daily if you want to head up to New Jersey. And then in Wilmington, we've got a small airport, which is just about an hour away if you need to catch a flight. Now, they do have limited flights out of there, so make sure you check the schedule before just trying to book a flight. They are expanding the Junction and Breakwater Trail system, which already connects Lewes to Rehoboth through some beautiful coastal scenery. And that's why our location is absolutely perfect. And speaking of perfect, wait until you see what's happened on 2nd Street downtown. The restaurant scene alone has exploded from just 3 spots back in the day to some of Delaware's best and most exclusive dining that we have. Really, over the last decade, it has completely transformed. So talking about downtown Lewes and how it centers around 2nd Street, again, this is where you really see what makes this town special. You know, the entire historic district dates back to the 1700s, and we've managed to preserve that first town character while building a seriously impressive downtown scene that you don't find in a lot of other areas. 2nd Street runs about 4 blocks right through the heart of downtown, and it's packed with local businesses, not chain stores. Now, you've got Lewes Bake Shop making fresh pastries and coffee and that kind of stuff every single morning. You've got King's Ice Cream, which makes homemade ice cream, and they have been since the 1970s. And you got some really unique shops. You know, we got a puzzle store down there, and perhaps every kid's favorite, I know it's my kid's favorite, but we've got the Kids Catch toy store right there on 2nd Street. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the restaurant scene that has, again, completely transformed over the last decade or so and really changed the entire landscape of downtown. You know, first we've got Agave, which brought in high-end Mexican to downtown Lewes and became insanely popular. You know, we're talking about waiting a few hours for a table during the busy times in the summer. Then there's places like Heirloom, which opened in this beautiful Victorian house and earned recognition from Coastal Style magazine as one of the best restaurants in Delaware. And then there's the newer place, which is Lewes Oyster House, which is fantastic if you haven't been. Perhaps one of our favorite spots is Touch of Italy, which brings authentic Italian food. And then we've also got Half Full, which is an insanely good spot for wood-fired pizza and wine. And my fiance absolutely loves their salad. Now around 2nd Street, you've also got these beautiful tree-lined side streets with historic homes, each really with its own story to tell. And perhaps my favorite part of town. You know, places like Ship Carpenter Square is probably the most photographed neighborhood in all of Lewes. It's this perfect example of federal and colonial architecture surrounding a big open green space. Then we've got the Zwanendale Museum, which looks something like it's straight out of Amsterdam, which makes sense given our Dutch heritage. You know, it really truly is a replica of some of the buildings in Amsterdam. Now, what really sets downtown Lewes apart though is how it stays active year round. The town runs events practically every month, from things like the Tulip Festival in the spring to summer concerts at the Canal Front Park to the historic Lewes Farmers Market on Saturdays to the massive Christmas parade in December. Again, there really is something year round for everybody. Now, a big reason why Lewes still looks like a historic coastal town instead of turning into another overdeveloped beach city is because the historic regulations have played a huge role in maintaining the character of the town, and they've put some strict rules on renovations and new construction with those older homes. So that's why even a lot of the newer construction or the renovated homes, they all have to match that same architectural style of the surrounding buildings, which really helps everything blend together nicely. And you don't have this big, huge modern home next to something that was built in the 1700s completely sticking out like a sore thumb. Now, while the downtown has changed dramatically, it's our year-round lifestyle that really sets Lewes apart. You know, with all 4 seasons typically being on the more mild side, you can actually enjoy a lot of these amenities 12 months a year or year-round, and that's part of what makes Lewes so special. You know, the Lewes lifestyle, as they say, is really built around outdoor living and year-round activities, which is possible thanks to our more mild climates. You know, unlike the winters up north or the brutal summers down south, we get this perfect mix of all 4 seasons. You know, you're looking at an average winter temp in the mid 40s or so. Summer highs are typically in the mid 80s, and there's these absolutely gorgeous spring and fall seasons that we get that bring people outdoors for months at a time. I think spring and fall might be the best time of year down here. Now, when it comes to outdoor activities, the Cape Henlopen State Park that we discussed earlier is really the crown jewel. We've got 5,200 acres of pristine coastal land with something for everybody. We've got 6 miles of beach access. There's a professional grade disc golf course. There's a fishing pier. There's bike trails and so much in between. And again, the history buff in your family will absolutely love it with all the World War II relics. Now, we've also got things in Cape Henlopen State Park like Gordon's Pond Trail, which gives elevated views over the salt marshes that you'll often see ospreys nesting right along the path. It truly is beautiful. But the Junction and Breakwater Trail that became a major attraction since they completed it, this 5-mile rail trail connects Lewes to Rehoboth through some of the most beautiful coastal woodlands, and they've added features like a new Breakwater West Trail section with scenic overlooks of the wetlands and some added elevations for you to really take in the views. Now, in terms of healthcare and essential services, BB Medical Center has transformed into a comprehensive healthcare system. You know, they've expanded from this little small community hospital into a full-blown medical center with specialized care for things like cardiac and a dedicated cancer center and a new surgical institute that just opened a few years ago. We've also got the new South Coastal Health Campus, which is just a little bit further south, that just opened with 24/7 emergency services. So you don't have to drive to Dover or Christiana for urgent care anymore like you had to back in the day. Now, if you like shopping, here you'll find everything from practical to luxury. We've got 5 major shopping centers along Route 1, including the 3 Tanger outlet centers, which just added a few new stores, including the ever-growing popularity Pottery Barn outlet that so many are excited for. For groceries, you can choose between major chains like Food Lion and Giant or local spots like Lloyd's Market downtown for specialty items. I think Lloyd's is the coolest place that we have. Now, they've also just announced plans for a new retail complex off of Route 24 that could be bringing in some major national retailers that we haven't had before, and there is a lot of news buzzing about that. Now, remember what I said about the food scene growth in the downtown area? That's really only part of the story. We've also got this great mix of established local spots and new innovative restaurants. We got places like Matt's Fish Camp and Big Oyster Brewery. And they're always doing creative things there with local seafood or other local dishes, and new spots just keep opening opening up throughout the area, which continues adding value to our area. Even our coffee culture has exploded quite a bit. Notting Hill Coffee Roastery, which is part of Lewes Bake Shop, started roasting their own beans right downtown. We've got cafes like the Station on Kings that have created these great community gathering spots that we're so lucky to have. Now, for daily amenities, you've got everything you need within about a 10-minute drive, and really nothing is ever far. Again, between the farmers market, the countless fitness studios and gyms, medical offices, and professional services, you rarely need to leave Lewes for really anything. Now, if you think our current amenities are impressive, we've also got $100 million in improvements coming in 2025. But before I tell you more about that, if you're looking for the best resource on all things local in Coastal Delaware, subscribe to our email newsletter. It's down below in the description. It's the best for local news, events, hidden gems, and all the newest things coming to Coastal Delaware. And we send it directly to your inbox for free each and every week before anyone else. So make sure you check it out and subscribe using the link in the description down below so you never miss what's going on right here in Coastal Delaware. Let's talk about what's coming in 2025 and why I think Lewes will be totally worthwhile town to invest in. This year we have over $100 million in infrastructure improvements planned, which is massive for our area. But first, we've got the Minnows-Conway Road project, which is the biggest transportation upgrade that we've seen in decades. It's a $50 million investment that's going to eliminate those dangerous median crossovers on Route 1. If you've ever tried to make a turn north from Minnows-Conway Road, you understand what I'm talking about. It's going to replace them with 3 strategic roundabouts. Now, they're also building a new road that runs under the Nassau Bridge and service roads on both sides of Route 1 for easier access to businesses and safer access to Route 1. Now, construction is expected to start early this year, and it's going to be done in 10 carefully planned phases to try and minimize the disruption and minimize the traffic issues that it may cause. And then remember Cape Henlopen State Park that we talked about earlier? This place is also getting its own major upgrade with 10 different improvement projects planned, which we are absolutely excited for. They've got things like the Point Trail, which is going to be an extension that's going to break ground in 2025 to the current trail system, and it's going to open up some access to the park's most scenic areas. And they're adding a new 6-mile multi-use path with 11 boardwalks and a bridge. Plus, they're conducting feasibility studies for a new fishing pier, and there's a new bathhouse going in. But the most forward-thinking project for our area is definitely the broadband initiative. Delaware secured $17.4 million in federal funding, plus another $90 million in private investment to become the first fully connected state on broadband. Now, Verizon is expected to start their build-out in June of 2025, and then followed by Comcast's expansion shortly after. This means that high-speed internet access for over 5,700 homes that currently struggle with connectivity. Again, I think this one's going to be huge. Now, downtown is getting some infrastructure attention too. They're upgrading the entire stormwater management system. They're installing some new underground utilities, and they're adding more public parking options to try and help manage the summer traffic and help people get into downtown without having to fight for parking and figure out where they're going to be at. And then the bike share program is going to be expanding with 3 new stations downtown, which we are excited for. Now, these improvements aren't just about making life more convenient, although they certainly do. They're also about preparing Lewes for sustainable growth. The town's planning commission has carefully balanced these upgrades with preserving the historic character of the town that really makes Lewes special, and we're excited for them to be a little bit more forward thinking with their planning. Projects like the new wastewater treatment facility are going to ensure that we can handle a lot of the growth that we're seeing without compromising our environment or our quality of life, things that have been a concern before. Now, the Lewes real estate market has definitely got some interesting dynamics happening right now. The median home price sits at around $585,000, which is up just about 1.5% from last year. But when we look at just homes within the city limits, that jumps closer to $1.2 million and an increase of about 2% year over year. So we're seeing a little bit more appreciation in the downtown market. Now, this tells us that demand is still incredibly strong, especially compared to other beach markets that are seeing a little bit slower growth. Now, the market breaks down into distinct areas, each with its own price points. The historic district homes, those typically start above $1 million now, especially the properties right along Pilot Town Road that have canal views. You're not going to find any of those for less than $1 million. Now, these homes have also seen the most dramatic price appreciation over the years. What's sold for $200,000 to $300,000 in the 1990s now commands $1.2 to $1.8 million and up. Now, new developments around town offer different price points. Communities like Schofield and Wolf Point feature some larger homes. Most of those are going to be in the $900,000 to $2 million range, but you'll find better values in established neighborhoods like Pilot Town Village and Bay Breeze, where well-maintained homes can still sell in the $700,000s and $800,000s. These areas give you all the benefits of living in Lewes, quick beach access and proximity to downtown without the premium of being in the historic district downtown, and certainly gives you quick enough access. Now, what's particularly interesting is how different neighborhoods hold their value. Areas near Cape Henlopen State Park or anywhere the new infrastructure projects are going in, a lot of those are seeing really strong appreciation just because of their close access to amenities. But before you think it's all perfect here, there are some real challenges that you should know about. Again, the summer traffic situation might surprise you. So let's dig into a little bit of the challenges. Living in Lewes does come with some real challenges, and it's important to understand them before making the decision to move here. That way you don't get here and you're disappointed. Again, first, the summer traffic definitely tops the list. From Memorial Day through Labor Day, Route 1 transforms completely. You know, a typical 5-minute drive to the grocery store can take upwards of 30 minutes, especially during those weekend changeover days when vacation rentals are turning over. Now, while I do think traffic gets overblown a little bit for the area, it definitely gets more backed up during the regular summer season than it does in the off season. Now, the traffic situation gets particularly intense at specific choke points, areas around 5 Points intersection. You know, those back up pretty regularly. And then the Route 1 corridor, again, between Lewes and Rehoboth, can slow to a crawl during peak hours, mostly because there's so many people traveling through there for the outlets and to get to places like Ocean City, and there's traffic lights all over the place, so it really slows things down a little bit. Even some of the local roads like Savannah Road and Kings Highway see a lot more traffic during summer weekends. Now, when I say traffic, I don't mean you're gonna be sitting there for 3 hours, but you just expect more people on the roadways. Now, downtown parking also becomes a little bit more challenging in the summer as Lewes has grown more popular. The historic district wasn't necessarily designed for the current volume of visitors, and street parking does fill quickly, especially around all those shops on 2nd Street. Now, the town has worked on adding more parking options, but during peak dinner hours or special events, even the overflow lots reach capacity pretty quickly. If you plan to go down there for dinner, maybe get down there a little bit ahead of time versus where your reservation is. Weather and environmental challenges are certainly part of coastal living. Now, while major hurricanes are pretty rare, nor'easters that we occasionally get can cause some flooding, especially in the areas that are on the beach side of the canal in Lewes. A lot of those see more water in the streets and that kind of stuff than we do on the land side of the canal. Now, some neighborhoods do require flood insurance, and properties closer to the water face higher insurance premium. Again, humid summers here can also mean higher cooling costs June through September. And then if we get a January like we just had, your heating cost in the winter is certainly going to be more expensive. Also, the seasonal nature of the community affects daily life probably more than you expect. You know, while Lewes does maintain more year-round businesses than a lot of the other beach towns, many shops and restaurants still reduce their hours. Some of them close entirely during the winter months to do some renovations and stuff. So just understand there may be less options in the winter. And then there's the property maintenance in a coastal environment that requires a little bit of extra attention and cost. You know, the salt air affects a lot more than you think. It affects everything from paint to outdoor furniture, and homes right on the beach often need more frequent exterior maintenance than in the inland areas. Just something to take in and consider. The historic district properties face additional challenges, again, with strict regulations on renovations and repairs. They can increase project costs and timelines in trying to adhere to the city's rules. Now, the rapid growth of the area has created its own set of challenges, and some neighborhoods are seeing significant construction activity, which means dealing with some construction traffic and noise even when you weren't planning for it before. So you may be asking yourself, who is Lewes perfect for? And it really depends. It's perfect for those that are looking for an active community. It's perfect for remote workers who want beach town living with easy city access, and it's perfect for anyone who can appreciate the history and wants that real community feel in the town that they live in. Lewes may not be the best fit for you if you need to commute to a major city daily. Obviously, a 2.5-hour drive is not going to be ideal. It's probably also not for you if you're looking for a vibrant nightlife scene. That's going to be more down in Dewey. And if you want new construction with large lots, there's definitely not going to be a whole ton of those in Lewes, so it may not be the best fit for you. Now, I've watched Lewes transform from this quiet fishing village into one of the most sought after coastal communities on the East Coast in relatively a short amount of time, and the changes have been absolutely significant. But what hasn't changed is what makes Lewes absolutely special. We've maintained the perfect balance between growth and preservation. You can still walk down 2nd Street and feel the history in every single building. The beach remains pristine, especially at places like the Cape Henlopen State Park. And unlike other beach towns that completely empty out after Labor Day, Lewes tends to keep its community feel really year-round. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit slower in the wintertime, but there's still a lot more going on. So if you are thinking about buying or selling in any coastal Delaware town, whether it's Bethany Beach, Rehoboth, Lewes, or anywhere in between, my team and I would love to help, and all my contact information is going to be down below in the description. Even if you just want to reach out with a question, don't hesitate. Now, also make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to get new videos just like this one each and every week, where we dive deep into everything you need to know about life and living right here in coastal Delaware. And before you go, make sure you check out this next video. I'll link it right up here, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.